My name is Neil Waterman and this is my Pilatus Pilot's Perspective. Poolhurst Aviation is a charter company. I came on board in 2008 and that was when the company first bought its very first PC-12 aircraft. So my role was to implement the aircraft into their day-to-day operations, not only in charter but to service the company's cattle properties as well. So from there we went for 13 years, 2 PC-12s, and then the next step was when we looked at the PC-24 aircraft. When we were first looking at the aircraft and it was presented on paper, obviously we went through all the specifications. You know, it can go to 45,000 feet. It has a max operating speed of 0.74. We weren't, you know, as a customer, you know, these figures are just given to us. Does the aircraft actually do it? And then when speaking with other people around airfields, they were saying, oh, the aircraft can't do that. It can only do, you know, 385 knots is the best you're going to get out of it. And then we start thinking to yourself, well, was it possible that the aircraft could do it? Once we purchased the aircraft, it was demonstrated to me by one of the test pilots that the aircraft is very capable of actually reaching its maximum operating speed at altitude of 45,000 feet. Was quite comfortable sitting at 0.74 all day, every day. Part of Poolhurst's operations, primarily we do go into a lot of short strips. And that was one of the key features of the PC-24, that if we were going to be purchasing that aircraft, it needed to have that ability to be able to do that as well. And part of my training was when we picked up the PC-24, one of the test pilots that I went out with, I asked them to be able to demonstrate this with the aircraft. And I was a little bit, you know, unsure of whether the aircraft could actually do it or not, and it's such a large aircraft and a jet. And he put this aircraft down very short, very quickly, and it was very impressive. And it was, yeah, well within the figures that were published. I've had 13 years on a PC-12. It was a very easy step to move into the cockpit ergonomics of the 24. It was the most challenging part was going from an aircraft, you know, 250, 260 knots to a 420 knot, 440 knot aircraft, and that was more the challenge as a pilot. Whereas the actual systems on it, it wasn't a challenge at all. It was very easy to move across. Prior to going overseas to do the flight safety course, I probably spent about a good month and a half to 2 months studying the material provided, and it was an easy transition. And then once you go over there, you do the ground school, and it was basically the ground school was what I'd read prior to going over. So it was quite an easy transition actually. With our previous PC-12, the cabin size that was offered was very generous for its size aircraft, and it was actually larger than a lot of light jets in that category. So we were giving our guests a flat, had a flat floor, wide, high cabin. Now when they come into the PC-24, it's much larger again, and when you compare it to another light jet or a jet aircraft in that size, the volume is much, much larger, and that's one of the key aspects that we looked at when we were purchasing the PC-24 is with our market in Brisbane, our competitors are offering an aircraft of similar size, but the cabin is much smaller. So we can give our guests a great experience in a cabin that's just big volume, and it has the ability to have the cabin changed, and 2 extra seats put down the back, which gives us a little bit more versatility. If one of our clients do ask for, can we take 8 passengers? Yes, we can. So it's just a simple change of a quick cabin configuration, 8 seats down the back, and now we've got that ability to give that to the client. and the pilot still has the ability to open the big cargo door up, access the cargo space there, and the passengers' cabin area is not compromised at all. When Poolhurst first looked at the operating costs of the PC-24, yes, we found that they were, as per most jet aircraft are, light jets, they're quite substantially higher compared to what we were looking at the PC-12. But when we looked into it further, and I looked at the numbers, when you look at it at a cost per nautical mile, the jet aircraft is going at a much greater speed over distance. So when you look at those factors, the cost per nautical mile from say when we're looking at the PC-12 to the PC-24 wasn't that much more. So it was effectively, it was a very good platform for us to lead into the jet market. So in terms of support from Pilatus, in my previous experience with the last 13 years of operating a PC-12, the support's been fantastic. All aircraft are going to have problems along the way. We had small issues with the aircraft and there was no problem. The service provided by Pilatus was second to none, and you'd expect that from the PC-12 right through to the PC-24. It's not going to change, it'll be the same service. One of the features of the aircraft and one of its abilities that impressed me the most was when you're coming into land and it's a large aeroplane, is the fact that it comes in very slowly and the handling characteristics of it are really crisp, really amazing, and they're PC-12-like. So that was one of the big features for us, the fact that with Poolhurst we operate into small strips and we can give clients that ability now in the next step with the jet to be able to still service into smaller strips, and for a pilot, it's a very good handling aeroplane.